Hello everyone, how you doing? You're very welcome to this Hurling Wants to Score with myself, Aidan Raftery, and of course, as always, to go through all things hurling with me is Andrew O'Shaughnessy. Hello, Andrew. How are you? Are you well?
Fantastic, Aidan. Yourself?
Not too bad, no, not too bad. Yeah, and I suppose as I said there off air, you're a happy man with all the Limerick players that got all stars last Friday night, and it was a good night by all accounts. And like I was watching it myself. And we'll be covering that in a few minutes. But I suppose we'll start off as we always do. It's getting to the business end of the All Ireland of the championship now, the club hurling championship. It's getting into really the nitty gritty, the provincial finals now, it's semi-finals and finals now, and yeah, that was an interesting game between with Crotta or not Crotta, between the Clonlara and the Clonlara match was very interesting, and of course the other game as well. It was very interesting in Munster, wasn't it? Killadangan, that's who they were playing. Yeah, that's
That's for sure. Yeah,
and of course the
that's
other
for sure. So
semi-final.
yeah.
Yeah,
So between the two semi-finals, you'd imagine the way it was built up was that Ballygunner and Beer should be a big match, a close match, but Clonlara and Kildangan, geez, was a superb match. Hurling was very, very good. Um, Kildangan going down to 13 men and then going ahead. Clonlara drawing it back, and then just they were working the ball out near the end, and the Kildang were trying to do the right thing, give a simple pass in, but he just got his bearings all wrong and passed it straight to Clonlara, led to get the winning score. It was heartache. Overall, you'd say Clonlara probably did deserve it, but at the same time, Kildang down to 13, they really dug in, they really stuck their system. They're good hurlers. They just sheer weight and numbers overran them at the end, and it was always going to be the case. It was unfortunate. So when they got the lead, they had to hold on to that lead. They just had to kill time down the opposite side of the field, which is easier said than done, and just manage the game out. But they weren't unable. They were unable to do that because of the weight of numbers.
that's it. And I think credit to Killadangan, and I think it's whoever comes out of Tipperary, they're usually very tough to beat because they seem to have that quality. I suppose Lockmore Castleiney are the same. When you see the quality they have when they were in the Munster Championship as well. I suppose they're star-studded, but they have the quality there as well. And of course, look at Killadangan were the same as well. But Clonlara, I suppose I suppose it's the nature of their championship so far, both in Clare and now in Munster. They find ways of getting out of tight scrapes, don't they?
That's exactly so. It's always the case. So whoever comes out as county champions in Munster, they very fancy themselves for a crack at Munster itself. And indeed, over the last number of years, every team, Waterford, Limerick, Tipperary, and Clare have won Munster. The exception being Cork. They're just a team keep coming out and falling flat. But other than that, like it's teams that come out are highly focused on winning Munster. So again, Clonlara, they have a lovely system. They have a lovely style. Their county players link up excellent. The John Conlon in the forwards. Like he got All-Star on Friday, centre back, but he's up in centre forward for the club, and he just linked everything. Everything went through him. Whether the little hand pass, the little strike pass when they need a score, he got a score. When they need a free, he got a free. When they need the ball back, he got the ball back. It's just they everything went through him. So if you're in the final, if you're going to stop him, they'll identify that and they'll look to stop him. And unfortunately, I think Ballygonna will stop him. Like, I think they're foregone All Ireland champions elect at this stage.
That's it. And I mean, I think the game plan that you were saying there for Clonlara, and that's it's good to have a kind of a plan. But is there a fear that if they keep doing that the whole time, they'll be found out? Well, as you said, they'll be found out against Ballygunner, and we'll go on to that other semi final in a minute. But I think against better opposition, you have to kind of have a plan B and be able to chop and change, like not just going into the game, but throughout the game as and when needed.
Yeah, so at this stage, like you really like everyone has a plan A. That's what they want to do. They want to implement their plan in the opposition team. But nowadays, the opposition team will be focusing on looking at your games and reviewing them and seeing your plan A with how it works and try to nullify that and then impose their game plan. So you need a plan A, you need a plan B, and a plan C, and possibly worst case scenario, plan D. Because like Ballygunner, they're the case in point now. They have numerous plans. They can hurl you, they can outmuscle you, they can outrun you, they can outscore you. They're very, very good. So for Clonlara, they just have to, obviously they're going to focus on their plan A. So this has been working, we're going to fine tune it now, and we just impose it on Ballygunner. But if and when it doesn't work, they just need to have something else up their sleeve. For a team just out, having won the county in a good while and just out in the Munster Championship, it'll be hard to come up against Ballygunner, because like the Pierce come up against them 3 or 4 times at this stage. They've beaten them once, and the last few times Kamala came up against them 2 years ago in the Munster final. Just didn't have a plan from any team that comes up against them. And case in point was in the Pierce last year in Munster. They were superb in the first half. They imposed themselves, but then Ballygunner just overran them in the second half. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. You just need to have a really good plan. You need to have a good plan B, and hope to God that Ballygunner, you can upset them some bit to put them after a groove.
And I mean, personnel-wise, they're all very good hurlers in Clonlara, but I mean, yeah, we mentioned there a few of the really good hurlers that always step up. But I think, against the likes of Ballygunner, all 15 and the substitutes that come on will really have to step it up, because with any team that comes up against Ballygunner, you can't just depend on one or two. Everyone has to you can't be just dependent on those one or two. Everyone has to kind of put their shoulders to the grind and to have any chance. And even at that, we know the quality that Ballygunner have, and I suppose that brings us on to Ballygunner as well, and their sorry about this, Andrew, but their victory over Na Piarsaigh. Like you said, anyone looking at this game beforehand would have thought that this was going to be the game of the weekend in the Hurling Championship, but obviously, like you said, it proved that the other game was the Clonlara match against Killadangan. But are there any? Well, look, there's not. With regards to Ballygunner, they never have anything to improve on. Although they will always say that there's always bits and pieces. There are always 1 and 2 things from every match that can be improved on. But they're a well-oiled machine at this stage. They're a long time on the road. It's kind of a good thing if you're the coach or a player, but it's also like, where do you find things to improve on when you have such a talented squad of players?
Yeah, so like they won the game convincingly, and even though it was only 4 points, and Na Piarsaigh had a shot and goal that seemed like he saved in the 64th minute. If that went in, that was a goal chance. If that went in, he saved that was a draw. But still, they went down, got the insurance point, 4 points, just taking them back away. So for 2 things that Ballygunner can improve, and the first thing is for dominating the game for all intents and purposes. They shouldn't have, in the 64th minute of the game, letting the opposition take a shot and goals on your goalkeeper to draw the game. The game should be well and truly over at that stage. That's one thing that they definitely look to identify and clear up. And the other thing then, for the first 15, 20 minutes, their shot puck out didn't work because Na Piarsaigh forwards pushed up, they closed up, so they literally went for the full back straight away, automatically knew he was going to pass it, went past him and put pressure on Stephen O'Keefe. So they got a bit of joy out of that. But again, you won't get joy out of that for the whole 60 minutes or 65 minutes, because they wear you down. They pass around you. So that's one thing. Well, 2 things that they could work on. But again, like as you said, they're a well-oiled machine. I had a feeling coming into it that Na Piarsaigh had a chance, but going off to the club championship in Limerick, they weren't really hitting the heights that they had normally. You would expect them. They're winning their game quite well and convincingly, but they weren't clicking, so to speak. And signs on that was the case in the semi-final win over Doon. They were looking to get over that after penalties, and they won the county final against Duell, but actually playing particularly well. So it would have been against the form guide for them to turn Ballygunner over. It was always a possibility with the talent to have, but they just they had no answer once Ballygunner got into rhythm after 15, 20 minutes. They were chasing shadows, to be honest.
And I mean, like, even with it, when you look at Ballygunner as well, the talented squad they have. I mean, first of all, with the 15 that they have on the pitch, and so you can have whatever plan you want, but they have the lads on the pitch that can change a game They can play different ways, but also if they want to change things around tactically, they also have it on the bench as well. Because the bench is just as good as the starting 15. So and they can take players off and rest them and bring on someone with an eye onto the Munster final. I think that's probably what was done on Sunday as well. So I mean, it's that's the thing. It's even though, like, I suppose in Leinster now you have O'Loughlin Gales, and they're a good side, and you also have St Thomas's as well. If it's hard to see, and they're two good teams. It's hard to see anyone being able to beat this Ballygunner team. I mean, the one, I suppose, even in their even in their even in the county championship and right through, they've won most of their games convincingly as well. So it's how do you curb the talent that they have?
Yeah, well, like there's always a chance. Like no matter what team you play, how fancy they are or how unprepared you think they are, that you're going to win well. Any big game you go into, especially with GAA, it's 50-50. It's a cliche, but it's so 50-50. It's on the day anything can happen. So you could have a team that's not going well, then all of a sudden there could be turmoil, but might like the manager or the selector or something, and then all of a sudden we show him we can hurt, and they could actually turn a team over, and then you have the opposite side. So you could be flying, going well, and then just fall flat in your face. So again, for a team to beat Ballyhale, Ballygunners, I always say the way they hurl, they have to hit their potential on the day and hope that Ballygunner only get to 70-75%, whether that's through their own nerves, or mistakes, or the pressure you put on. And if you're putting pressure on the likes of Ballygunner, it has to be consistent, full out for the whole game. I guess your corner forward has to be tackling. Everyone has to be tackling. So again, just for the Munster final, then just a little comparison. If you compare both teams from the weekend, while you look at Clonlara had a good win, strong spine, good hurlers, great hurlers. You look at their few of corner forwards and maybe their wing backs and stuff, just their gait. Some of them are young, and you can tell physically they're young. But if you look at the Ballygunner team, you can tell they have years and years just in the gym. And SNC, they're strong, even if they're young, they're strong physical specimens. So that's hard, and that stands so much for this time, because we're winter hurling. So this time of year, that's what it is. It's not about the nice, lovely hurling that Ballygunner can do. It's about the ruck ball, stand over the ball, getting the dirty ball, or getting it free in winter hurling. That's exactly what it is, because especially with Ballygunner and free takers in every this time of year, they'll win you games. But with a man taking frees, like if you get a free, Ballygunner, there's a score. So that's what they're good at. They can out hurl you, but they're very, very good and very adept at outmuscling you too.
And I suppose really when you look at Ballygunner, you look at the Pearshie, you look at Patrickswell, you look at the talent in Kilkenny, which we will be going on to in a minute. In Clare as well, like Clonlara and Kildangan. You also have to have kind of one eye onto what's coming through. And I mean, more specifically, I suppose, I no disrespect to the other teams, wouldn't you love to have a look at the Ballygunner minors and see the sort of talent that they have, because they don't seem like letting up anytime soon. And I'd say, these clubs seem to have the players coming through as well, because they're supposed to have good senior teams and be consistent. They must have good minor teams and under 21 teams or under 20 teams.
Yeah, and that all comes to, I know Ballygunner now, just if you look at the catchment area, they have a massive catchment area. I'm not even entirely certain there's a parish rule in Waterford, so they have their side of Waterford City, they have the pick of the bunch for all the good underage who want to come to Ballygunner for success, and obviously success breeds success. So they've been successful over the last 10 years. So national enough the young kids in the Ballygunner area or the surrounding areas close enough want to play with them, so they're coming there. So they're getting the creme de la creme of the youths, and they can shape and train them into their way of their mindset and their thinking, their hurling style. So that's a massive advantage. So I only imagine their minor team is strong, but if not, they'll be thereabouts. And all you need from off a minor team are 2 or 3 players per year, and that bolsters your senior squad. And that's exactly what Ballygunner are doing. Like, it's not just their senior squad. They have, I think there's 3 adult teams that have, along with that, it's just sheer weight of numbers. It's hard to compete against that. And it's the same you see in Limerick. It's the same in the Pearshie. They're inside the city. They have a pick. Invariably, they're the only team in the city, more or less, and they have a pick of numbers. It's just numbers. And if you get numbers, invariably you're going to get if you get 50 kids, invariably you're going to get 8 or 9 good kids a year. And it's only a matter of time, weight and numbers, and matter of time before that success transpires onto the field.
And I mean, you just said there with the teams, with those clubs as well, the three adult teams and that, they kind of act as development teams, really, essentially for the senior team, don't they?
That's exactly it. So your second team, you have one or two lads that think they should be on or coming back. They're probably finished hurling, but they still think they're senior hurling, but they're not quite. So they're back hurling away, trying to make it back on the senior team. They probably won't, but they're giving valuable experience to the lads coming up. But then you have your younger fellas who are just quite not developed, and maybe their mindset isn't focused, or they don't have the concept of the style of hurling. And those games are invaluable things because they're playing their second team and their third team. They're playing the best team from the other clubs in Waterford. So they're playing the first teams of whatever intermediate team you're playing, and they're testing themselves, and they're playing against grizzled adults, and a lot of those, say, the intermediate teams in Waterford would have senior county hurlers on those teams. So that's who your young fellas are going up against. That's tremendous experience for them to get. And as you see, if they keep them in the club, keep them involved, keep them actively chasing to get on the senior team, it just strengthens their team, and they're coming out an unbelievable force.
That's it, and of course we'll be looking at the Munster club final in the coming near to the time. But I suppose that brings us on to Leinster now, and we just mentioned there O'Loughlin Gales, and that's nearing the provincial final as well. What are your thoughts on Leinster so far, and obviously the Leinster semi-final or finals to come?
Yeah, so again, I'm just looking at O'Loughlin Gales, of course, because to beat Ballyhale Jamrocks, the current All-Ireland champions. So you're saying, actually enough, if they beat the current All-Ireland champions, they should be considered All-Ireland contenders. So it all depends on how they perform the next day. So it can go two ways. Like the Wexford champions, it can go two ways. You can be happy enough with your content because it takes so much to win the Kilkenny championship. Because if you want to win the Kilkenny championship, you have to beat Ballyhale, and that takes an awful toll on the body and on the mind, and just the dedication, focus for one team. And then when you beat them, you go, geez, what next? You wouldn't have been focused on later on in the Leinster championship, but now the time to reset. So they're a Kilkenny team, they'll come out and they'll be all guns blazing. So I fully expect them to be in the final with Cormac Lahi, and that'll be a colossal battle. We talk about that if it does transpire, but not many people talking about Cormac Lahi because they have seen the Offaly championship is down, the Offaly county is down, but at the same time there's a lot coming through underage in Offaly as well. And Kilcormac and Lahi are leading the charge. They've proven pedigree in Leinster. So again, it'll be tight, it'll be interesting, it'll be tough one to call.
And of course, look, we mention Galway every week. They're because they're not in the Leinster or Munster championships, they're twiddling their thumbs waiting for either one side or the other to come through. And I mean that's not easy either. But like we've often said about the Galway championship, that's nearly like it's difficult like the Kilkenny championship, like you said. So it's nearly like a Munster championship.
Yeah, exactly. So again, they time it well in Galway because they know they're not in the provincial championship, so they time their club championship in such a way that they allow for a 3 to 4 week break, which is perfect time. And then it's an awful toll on the body getting through the Galway championship because all the matches are so close and so tight. So St. Thomas's have proven active 6 in a row done. They know how the winning mentality, they know how to time their run to get to the county final and win the county final, and then leaves off for a week and they get back into it. So they'll be fine. I have no fear of them, whatever about if you compare to the Wexford champions. I have no comparison or no fear of the Galway champions. St. Thomas's having an off day now because of a break. The break will actually suit them well because after the tough championship they haven't and they had the experience of being this stage before. So again, they'll be odds on in their own heads for the All-Ireland championship because they see Ballyhale are gone and they see everyone talking about Ballygunner.
And of course, with St. Thomas's as well, most of their players are that just purely play hurling. And I don't think any of them play football. Maybe one or two. And I suppose that kind of feeds into it as well. The fact that these players just specialise in hurling and they don't play any other sport that we know of. So that'll be key. That'll be key as well. If you have a club with players that just purely play one sport, it's a huge plus, isn't it?
Yeah, like you don't see in the club championships, the provincial championships, you don't see a hurling team going well that plays senior football as well. That doesn't happen unless you're Schlockneil or your Dublin club. Other than that, it's rare that you won't get to both of them. In Limerick, Adair are senior hurling and football, Napier senior hurling and football, but they're either stronger one or the other, not strong both fronts. You can't because it's just again it's down to the player bodies. So you have to have literally separate panels. You can't have a crossover because it's just not fair and it's not right and it's not doable. Like so, especially where the championship goes in most counties is hurling, followed by football. So you're 2 weeks in between your hurling, your rest weeks if it's followed by football, your same players are taking part and they're picking up injuries, and it's just not sustainable.
That's it. And now we're going to discuss the 2024 All-Star hurling team, and we'll start off in goal. I think you're going to be happy that there's a good few Limerick lads there, quite rightly so. They've had a great year, and they culminated in their fourth All Ireland in a row, and that just goes to show you the level of talent that they have now. But like when you also think about the talent that they have coming through, it's probably frightening, and that means that it's going to be hard to see the Limerick senior hurling. The senior hurling gravy train stopping anytime soon in the coming years.
Yeah, hopefully not. So you make hay while the sun shines, and as we said numerous times, it's a special group. They're a credit to the county and their families would represent, and it's great to see Limerick being talked in such positive light. But like every team that gets success and sustains success, once you're up there, you're there to be knocked, and that's part of the course. And they understand that. They embrace it. They don't let it tie them down. They don't get restricted thinking that. They embrace and they actually go looking for it and talking about it. So they're a great group, great representation of the county. Whether I'd be happy enough with all the All-Stars, I don't think I would, but that's another story.
And I suppose, look, we go through it player by player, and I suppose goalkeeping wise, when you look at the goalkeepers, you could say Reece Shelley, you could say Nicky Quaid, but I suppose it is kind of unfair to say it, but Owen Murphy will be remembered for that brilliant save against Clare. Previous All-Stars that he got, it was 2016, 2018, and 2021. But a lot of people will point at that great save he made, but he makes other brilliant saves. I mean, he's consistently brilliant. He's a great shot stopper, great under the high ball. It was very competitive for the goalkeeping position for the All-Stars team this season, wasn't it?
It was. It was down to two. It was Nicky or himself, and he got that base and that save. That's superb. Like, unbelievable save that rarely you see and you probably never see again, but that's won the game for Kilkenny in Ireland semi-final. My own personal viewpoint, whether it's enough to win him an All-Ireland, All-Stars, a different story. If you look at throughout the year, so I think he conceded between 11, 13 goals in the year, and you look at Nicky, he conceded 4, but then you have the argument saying, well, he's a strong, look at the defence Nicky has in front of him. But then to counter-argue that again, Nicky would have been playing against all Munster teams. So Kilkenny would have been playing against Leinster teams, lesser forward power in those teams. So you have the high volume of goals conceded. The number of goals he conceded was a high volume. Needless to say, you can't blame a goalie for conceding goals invariably because he's been let down of happenings outside the field. But statistically and numerically, so he conceded 11, 13, and Nicky conceded 4. I think Nicky's the downside for Nicky is that he's so consistent and he's underrated from his puck out perspective. He stacks every attack. His hurling ability, and same with Murphy. Their hurling ability, like they play in the back for their clubs. Their hurling ability is second to none. They can hurl outfield, they can hurl in goals, and they bring that ability to hurl and on the ball to goals. And then it's a toss up really. But again, that's my own personal preference. I thought Nicky did more. He contributed more to the overall winning team Limerick. And when you go head to head, 2 matches they played in the league final and All-Ireland final, you can't compare like who came out on top there. But again, that's for another day, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose really with the goalkeeper too. I mean, as Paddy O'Shea said, the former Kerry player and of course Kerry manager and Westmeath manager, a grain of rice can tip the scales. And I mean, when you are looking at the goalkeeper, it's not just about the saves he makes. And it's also about the I suppose the distribution and the accuracy of the puck outs, not just the length of the puck outs, but being able to knowing when to send them out long, when to send them out short, but also the accuracy of it. There's a lot of things, and I think these are little things that maybe are looked at too when the players. But there wouldn't have been a whole lot of difference. I think the width of a paper would have been the difference between Nicky and Owen Murphy.
Yeah, all depends on your perspective. I'd put more in the paper because if you're looking at Limerick have to do 4 in a row and if you're asking any of the players what it's down to, they'd be a lot of on Nicky Quaid's shoulders that his restarts are, you can't compare to anyone else. No matter what good shot stopper you are, no matter how good you are on the ball, his puck outs are behind Limerick winning. So with Nicky, you see goalkeepers are hitting people in space. Nicky just hits space, knowing the space is going to be occupied by a Limerick player in the not too distant future. He doesn't actually hit the ball on a man. He just picks out space, knowing that who's going there. And that's all. That's not just Nicky, of course. That's all down to Paul Mark and John Colley and the work they did with their puck outs and stuff. And it's not just solely Nicky, but you can have a plan, but be able to repeat that plan again and again and again, especially when you know the opposition are targeting that, and you can still do it and still be accurate. There's a lot more than meets the eye with that.
And of course, that takes us on to the outfield players, and Mikey Butler from Kilkenny last one. He won an All-Star last year as well, but he has been Mr. Consistency cornerback for Kilkenny this season, hasn't he?
Geez, I'm going to be really controversial today. So he won an All-Star last year for his performance on Tony Kelly, which was superb. He did the same again this year, but then in the All-Ireland final, his man scored 5 points from playoff him. So I feel he was consistent all year, but whether it's consistent enough to get an All-Star, no, I don't think so. My own view of the fullback line, I would have had you Lawler cornerback, I would have had Dan Morrissey fullback, and I would have Barry Nash, the other cornerback. I thought Barry Nash was a standout defender all year, and I just thought it's just a bit unfair. I think, I don't know, it's just that was my view. I thought Mikey Butler was superb. He did a great job on Tony Kelly, but then in the All-Ireland final where Hugh Lawler did a job on Aaron Glenn and rightly gets his award, Peter Casey did a even bigger job on Mikey Butler, the man marker. So I just think that's my view.
And I suppose Hugh Lawler, I know like what you were saying about Mikey Butler, but I suppose Hugh Lawler across the championship, he has been consistent, and no matter who he marked, he's a very sticky player, very hard player to get away from. So if you're lucky enough to win the ball, you have to get around Hugh Lawler, or you have to be able to get away from Hugh Lawler, because he will stick to you. He will stick to you like glue.
Yes, and it's all well and good him sticking to you, but the thing with Hugh Lawler is he can actually out-hurl you, and that's even worse for any forward. If you're out a man and he goes, "Geez, my cornerback is, or the fullback is there to hurl me," because normally you just said, "Jace, he's going to try to be negative and stop me hurling," but when he actually goes out and gets the ball before you and catches the ball over your head, that's actually more demoralising as a forward. So that's one thing Hugh Lawler did all year. He just out-hurled the man who's on.
That's it, and and you know, fair play to him, and he's I think, you know, he definitely did deserve it. And that's moving on to the first Limerick player on the 2024 All-Star Hurling team, and that is Dan Morrissey, number 4. He previously won All-Stars in 2018 and 2020, and of course he gets his next All-Star this year in the 2024 team. Look, what can you say about Dan Morrissey? You know, he's brilliant. He can out-hurl anyone, and I think he has marked the best in the game as well over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, so he's got one fullback and halfback. Yeah, so he's deserving of an All-Star award. I think my case is a tad bit unlucky as well, because he was consistent all year as well. But again, he doesn't have the many standout moments in games as Dan would have, because Mike Casey just does his job, or Dan does his job, but he links up the play. You see him more often because he's coming out a bit more. He's a bit more obvious on the ball, so because he's outside the fullback line, so he's getting on more ball, and his helmet stands out as well. Those horrible hand colours. It stands out as well, but he, as you said, he's Mr. Consistent. Like you, they get the ball, and they never seem to give the ball away. They just do the right thing for the team. They don't clear. It's not all about themselves. It's just about the team with those two lads, Hugh Lawler and Dan Morrissey, and they're both thoroughly deserved.
And I suppose for Casey, would you say that's down to I suppose maybe the role that John Colley has for him, maybe that, or like, I mean, because they're both cornerbacks or whatever, you'd imagine that both of them would have the same kind of role.
Yeah, they're more or less the same. They know that they all have a role for the position they're in, so they need to know what they have to do in your fullback, if you're halfback, if you're centre back, your job spec, what you need to do, and they're all fully affiliated at that. So they just slot in, especially with Dan. He slots back, fullback. He knows exactly what to do. He's instinctive there, and then out halfback, he does the exact same thing. So it's just, again, back to two lads being intelligent hurlers, and that's all you want from a hurler. And
of course, that takes us on to the half-back line. Number 5 is Jeremy Burns from Limerick. He won an All-Star previously in 2020, 2021, 2022. So he's going for All-Star number 4. And, well, again, like Dan Morrissey and Casey, you know, he's thoroughly deserved his All-Star this year, because I suppose he is one of the launch pads of the attack for Limerick.
Yeah, so like he's Mr. Consistency. Even though he was struggling for the first 20-25 minutes in the Ireland final, he was put under a bit of pressure. He just, the experience of the man, he identified what he needed to do. He turned around, he just changed it, and in doing so, he changed the game. Like, so he came out one catch. I only saw it during the week. He was going for a ball. Zephyr Willie Dunn going for a ball with a Kilkenny lad, and he just came across them. Hurley in the left hand, in the right hand across, and just caught with his. In his left hand and caught with his right hand, and just blew 2 or 3 players out of it. And 1 and 2 of those players were his own players, but he was just determined to get the ball, and that's actually inspirational. But the thing with Diarmuid Burns, when he does something like that, he's not just catching the ball for sake of it. He catches it, gets down, and then he either links up and he just delivers that killer ball into the inside lane. And he's just so clever with the ball, and he's such an asset for Limerick. So from place ball to end, as you've seen the last couple of matches, the last couple of years, he just pops up with 1 or 2 points for play, and that's massive, especially when games are going against you. You just have that ability and that arsenal in your team. You can't train for that.
And of course, number 6 then, centre half back, is John Conlon from Clare. His last All-Star was 2018. I suppose there was a lot of competition for the centre half back. It's a very tough position, and I think it requires a certain set of skills really to play centre half back. But yeah, he's the All-Star centre back for 2024.
Yeah, he hurled well for this year. He was inspiration for Clare through Munster Championship. He hurled well in the All Ireland series. Again, I'd be my Limerick tinted glasses on. I would have given it to Will O'Donoghue. He would never play centre back for the county in his life. He went back for the 2 biggest matches in the intercounty season, in the most important, most pivotal position on the field, and he lorded at centre back in the All Ireland semi-final and final. My own viewpoint, I think John Conlon getting it, and other of his Clare colleagues missed out in midfield. I would have had Will O'Donoghue centre back, and I would have had Davy Fitzgerald midfield. But again, so someone else has to lose out. So it's just unfortunate for Dave Fitzgerald, because I thought he had a good year as well again this year. So it's unfortunate that he loses out, but it's good for John Conlon. You saw with the Clonlarty weekend again, he was up centre forward again. He's just an inspirational figure.
And number 7, this completes the half back line. Kyle Hayes from Limerick. He won an All-Star 2020, 2021, 2022. He had a good season overall for Limerick, especially kind of, I suppose, the toughest kind of game really for Limerick was, well, you might agree or disagree with me. It was a game I was at, and that was the tip game in Thurles.
Yeah, so Kyle Hayes is a type of year that he wasn't probably man in any match throughout the year, but he was your Mr. Consistent when the chips were down, when Limerick were on the back foot, when people were really putting it up to him, especially in the Munster Championship. He just came out with inspirational scores, inspirational tackles, inspirational hits. He just had a good, consistent year, like above a very good, consistent year. I thought like he's coming up from half back and he's galloping up the field and he's short in the grip and goes, right, this is going over bar. It's never in doubt. Same with Diarmuid Burns. When they're shooting from distance, they might miss 1, maybe 2 a game if they do, but they'll probably get 3 or 4. And that's that's invaluable from your backs. Like that shouldn't be heard of, but it is. And he had a great year.
And that moves us on to midfield then. Darragh O'Donovan. It's an all Limerick midfield of Darragh O'Donovan. He got an All-Star in 2021, and also Will O'Donoghue from Limerick in 2021 as well. They were the 2 last All-Stars. What a midfield. I mean, that's an All-Star winning midfield. So you can understand why they went for those 2 players. Any other players that maybe were unlucky to miss out midfield?
I would say Davy Fitz if they had Will O'Donoghue centre back, but no, definitely not then. If they're going with this midfield pairing, they have to be there because they're the standout players. And the thing about them is no one has really started talking about Will O'Donoghue and Darragh O'Donovan only for the last 2 or 3 years. Like the first couple of years, they didn't pay any heed to them because there were so many other people, the hurlers on the team. They didn't see the work they do, but now they're getting to know it. They know that if you want to stop Limerick, you have to stop those 2 boys midfield. And if you go a long way to stopping them, that's a good way to beat Limerick. But it's easier said than done. They're superb and totally deserving. And
of course, they are the ultimate midfield because they can do, they can play any style the way you want them to play in midfield as well. There's so many different ways of using a midfield. But and that takes us on to the half forward line then. Shane O'Donnell from Clare, his last one was 2022. TJ Reid, not surprisingly, he won one in 2012, 2014, 2015, 2019, 2020, 2022. Again, Mr. Consistency for both Kilkenny and, of course, Ballyhale Shamrocks over the years. Kind of not surprising. given his consistency and his brilliance, he's in there at number 11. And finally, Tom Morrissey, completing the half forward line from Limerick, winning an All-Star in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, so Tom, I'll start with him because I'm going to liken him with Kyle Hayes. He had no real man of match performances, but he was Mr. Consistency. He got the scores at vital times throughout the Munster campaign. We wouldn't get through the Munster campaign without the scores Tom Morrissey was getting, and then same dollar in the series. So he was Mr. Consistency, albeit not shooting lights out, but just consistency for the team, getting scores when needed and getting turnovers needed. And same with Shane O'Donnell, he had a superb year. The goal he got against Kilkenny semi-final was unbelievable. He was fully deserved it. And again, TJ centre forward, so I don't know how many that has at this age, but again, he got it. Whether it's deserving or not, personally, I don't think he was deserving it this year. That's not saying that he didn't have a great year. He had a good year, but I thought other people actually contributed more from playing to their teams than TJ did. But again, that's not my decisions, other people's decisions, and he got his centre forward spot.
And moving on to the full forward line, Conor Whelan of Galway, his last one was 2017. Aaron Gillan, Mr. Consistency again in the All-Star team 2019, 2020, 2022, and Owen Cody. Those three players, I suppose, out of the three of them, when you look at Conor Whelan, he in each game he kind of got through each match kind of quietly. He did his job nice and quietly, but he scored some brilliant goals. He offers a lot to that Galway team. You could say that he was the only nominee from Galway, and he got it as well. Quite deserving of the corner forward spot, but again, that's another one that's maybe he was up against tough opposition for that spot.
Yeah, so again, the full forward line, it kind of more or less picks itself. Conor Whelan is deserving of it in most years. This year, he is, but like Peter Casey, again, I'm happy the Limerick flag. He got 5 points in All-Ireland final. That's his second All-Ireland final, getting 5 points. And he got to the crucial Limerick ligament in the first one he did with 5 points, and then turn around last year and that match got 5 points. It's not just that he's only game all year. He was consistently popping over 2 or 3 points a game. So it's a hard one. It's a flick of the coin between the two of those. But again, like Conor Whelan, it's nothing to take away from him. He did deserve it. He was, as you said, he got scores without you really noticing. He was getting 1-2, 1-3 a game. So again, he was Mr. Consistency. But then devil's advocate, if you look at the teams he's playing against, you'll be expecting to get that until you get to the Leinster final and into the Ireland series. That's when it really counts in my view. And then Aaron Gillan picks himself, and the corner forward picks himself. They both had great years for Kilkenny and Limerick respectively.
And of course, like with Conor, and I don't mean to say this about Galway because they are a good team, and but I suppose they were a very hard look in the Leinster final that goal by Kilkenny, in the hair's breadth of the full time. But you could nearly say when you think of Conor Whelan and you look at all the games he has played, and he has kind of similarly to other players, but he has carried Kilkenny to this. Through the championship as well. They probably wouldn't have won certain games without him.
Yeah, he's literally taken over from Joe Kenny. Not as media friendly and as Joe Kenny, because he seems like a quite guy and conservative guy, but he's carrying this Galway team. Like, he's their go-to forward. He's their marquee forward himself, and Evan Nyland, they're their two forwards. But Conor Whelan is the fellow who'll catch the ball over there when you're looking for a fella to get a score and pop it over from the side, and he's excellent. So like, he's deserving. It's just that, like Peter Casey, is a tad bit unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
That's it. Well, listen, thanks very much for taking the time out to do Hurling Wants to Score with us, Andrew, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Perfect. Thanks, Aidan.